100 million people in 80 countries around the world mine some mineral, gem, or metal using only their hands and a few rudimentary tools. In South Africa, thousands of mine workers who have been recruited by big mining find themselves between a rock and a hard place as formal mining slowly dies and informal artisanal mining remains criminalized. This leaves an army of workers all trained up with nowhere to go. Over the decades, workers have been recruited from all around Southern Africa to what is now 6,000 abandoned mines across the gold fields.
Employment in the mining sector is shrunk, like year out. It has shrunken from 1 million, employing 1 million, and today as we sit, the industry formally employs 400,000 workers, and we're actually looking forward to further losses as we go by.
Mining depletes resources in the ground and leaves water pollution, sinkholes, earth tremors, and land not fit for much else. On the edge of these goldfields, 29-year-old Sandile Nombeni became interested in mining through trying to find out about the lack of RDP housing around the mines and joined the Uranium Environmental Organization.
When we approach the Department of Human Settlements, they'll say, no, the challenge in Guatemala is that we're having so many mines. We cannot buy a space to build the RDPs within the community due to the underground shafts which are there, which belong to mines. So that gave us an interest of finding out which mines are actually here.
I used to go to school here. Some of my classmates, then they will go out and come here and hang here. Today it's my first time actually to this building. Ngibona, namanzi and everything. I can shopping. It's not safe.
The Uranium Environmental Organization works with the community finding ways to empower local people. Working on a shoestring budget, they use their mobile phones to record podcasts. Today, Sandile raises the issue of zamas, small-scale artisanal miners.
Welcome everyone to our radio station, Community Connection. Thanks to our guest for coming.
We need to produce a podcast which will be distributed to the other social media channels around the East Trendy, zamas now.
Our task already, we have tried to contact with other zamas in all over the Gauteng. So the only thing is to set a date, which one can we be able to call all those people and talk to them. They still believe there's a lot of gold in those shafts. That's why we have zamas.
At the nearby Old Daggafontein mine, this environmental group are working to gain the trust of informal miners to be able to workshop a way forward. Sandile and Mpo are shown by Zamazama Jaman how to extract handmade gold by using poisonous mercury.
Then manje Jaman why mhlophe so?
Le mercury ayihlanganise bemhlophe. Ngizokhomba ukuthi njani uthi ngifuna into etweni. Dura kanjani lento le? Ngwanyathe. Eh? Ibhodlela lingaka 200.
200?
Yeah, lingaka. Noma voma 30 something 1,000 ngale bhodlela. Ninomsebenzi omningi. Njengaleli ngangenzela 1,000 angithi sesiphelile.
Shithi bangathola ezingaka nje ezi5 or 10. Alright.
Yeah, ubrand nyana kancane.
For a week maybe.
Mawuthola ezi5 so maybe 1,000 something.
Okay.
Yona ngwanyatsi yadura yabona ama switch and bathini bathi 20 current bathini ayingangasebenzi phela le. Mama uyaliba ugana ama percent angithi moyifaka esikalini uyayibona isikali sakho nelisi sincane so. Yeah.
So you always find new faces, and obviously when people go on holiday, they always tell this good story about Igoli and its gold, and we are working on this. You know, and remember they call it plants as well. So somebody will just assume, okay, it's a factory or it's a formal place where I'm going. Then they're attracted because of the goodies and whatever that their relatives or friends present when they get back for holidays.
George Harrison Park is where the first prospector stumbled across the gold-bearing reef in 1886. The park named in his honor, close to Johannesburg CBD, has some of the busiest diggers' traffic into the underground void.
My mind, when they shut down and sometimes when they retrench people, the only thing that they know is mine. So now, the only solution they go back even though imine valile, then bayenze whatever bayenzayo to survive.
For zamas, this is a livelihood strategy, risking their lives to feed their families. Sandile speaks to a zama about his feelings on having the work regulated.
Kube nendlela eradio yokusebenzisana. Angazi ningayithanda lo ndlela mhlawumbe.
Singayithanda kakhulu bhuti ngoba vele ke ikakhulukazi njengamaphoyisa anokuhlupha vele amanye akhona. Anokusithathela vele umsebenzi mhlambe nini mayeqhamuka nje lana uthola mhlambe nini kuphoqa ukuthi ubaleke ulimala phefumuleki sekugcwele ama njengoba mhlawumbe ubona abafowethu abanye sasakhetha ukuthi sibathathe ukuthi basigade ingoba phansi sasikade sihlangabezana nenkinga kusuka abanye bethu uthola ukuthi bazogebenga phansi befuna wona umsebenzi mhlawumbe egcine sebesetshenzelwa kanjalo gcine mhlawumbe into ukuthi nini eseseniphansi nisakhona ukuphuma uma ungena lapha ngelo suku soyidelile impilo.
This woman requested to have her identity withheld. Being a zama enables her to be the sole breadwinner for her family. However, her lack of protective gear is taking a toll on her health.
Saka andakaenda kuzvipatara ndarwara ndikaudzwa kuti ndirifawo ndirege basa iri nenyaya yekuti ropa rangu riri kuita shoma mandiri. Ndakangoti okay nekuti ndandisina option nekuti ndaiti ndida kurapwa asi problem iripo pari zvino ndeyekuti handikwanisi kuti ndigare ndisashandi nekuti ndikagara ndikasashandi kwandikwanisa kuwana mari. Vana havaendi kuchikoro ende mai vangu vanoda kuchengetwa nekuti hakuna mumwe munhu anovachengeta kunze kwangu. Isi totora zvekudzokorora zvacho touya nazvo zviri zvinyoro sezviri panzaka ndoyandoyanika pazuva ndozvayanika kare ndaita zvokupisa izvezvi handichapisi ndakushandisa zuva nenyaya yekuti huni dzacho dziri kunetsa. Ndiropa tichazowana gold yacho kana ndakuya kudai ndikapedza kukuya then ndozoenda kumadhireni uko kunodhireni uko ndoisa mvura ndodhirena mari nei ichisara pamatauro isara pamatauro then ndozomawacha matauro ndozoisa mercury then mercury ndo ichazosanganisa mari yacho ndobata mari yangu ndozotsvaga kunotengesa mari. Nekuti zviri risk nekuti mapurisa akakuona uinayo mercury yachona anokusunga haibvumiri ende vanotokuvhunza kuti wakaiwanepi inini handizivi kwainowanikwa.
Sandile visits environmental activist Godfrey Makomeni, who explains the health risks that not only the zamazamas face, but also the community at large.
Yabona la most abantu babulawa yi-cancer because during windy seasons i-dust ephuma la yabona sime kanje ngeke ungibone from a distance sime kanje ngo-August le ndawo le bamhlophe yonke.
Sulfuric acid yekhosa lobo mhlophe even nama-tailings mowabheka anobumhlophe nobuyelo which is a mixture uranium richness ne-mixture ye-sulfur.
Cancer would seem to be widespread in this area. Zamazamas, whether working closer to the surface or deep underground, are even more exposed to this uranium. On the furthest western side of the goldfields, Sandile meets traffic officer turned cancer activist Cecilia Mollo, who has teamed up with the Treatment Action Campaign. Cecilia was photographing hardened uranium-rich mine waste sludge, colloquially known as chocolate cake.
I spoke to a lady, she was eating this, and I said, where do you get this? She said, from a mine tailing. I was so disturbed because this is direct uranium. If they're pregnant, this is a craving. What's going to happen to the child? What's going to happen to you? We have been doing research basically on cancer, but we know that it's because of the mine tailings. You know, scientifically we have not proven that. We're still yet going to do an epidemiological study. My sister died of melanoma, and it puzzled me a lot. It started with a rash, and they said it was eczema, and then it escalated to a point where her dermis was literally visible. That's when they diagnosed that it was the skin cancer. And 2 years later, my mother had leukemia. Like every fourth person that I knew had cancer. We stay nearby the cook section, and apparently it's high in uranium-226. Yeah. It's so rife that it's literally impossible that it's genes.
If we can do more of this cancer awareness campaigns, and also education to communities, and engage communities on a daily basis about their experiences, about their health, about their social and economic status. We really have a challenging situation with zamas. We need to get some kind of interventions, particularly maybe we can consult with your legal fraternities.
Sandile visits the Legal Resources Center to learn more about the health and safety issues related to mining, and in particular, zamas.
You currently see an operation that is characterized by practices that are very, very dangerous. Dangerous to the miners themselves, but also dangerous to communities and to the safety of the broader water resource, and really are activities that are entirely unsustainable. So we've had some engagement with people in the department over time.
Mintails, a smaller mine on the West Rand, is struggling to mine sufficient gold to meet its health and safety obligations and to deal with the increasing numbers of zamas. Dr. Anthony Turton advises the mine on how to rehabilitate their land and manage toxic water. He discusses zamas with Sandile.
We're going to show you some of the impatla now.
Oh, okay.
So this is what we've taken out of different mining operations over time.
Okay.
In order to create a post-mining, zama-friendly, artisanal mining economy, some very, very hard negotiations have to be had between the regulators, investors, big mining companies. You always have to have kind of like a truce, between these different parties. Can it be negotiated? Probably yes. Is it going to be easy? I suspect no.
While some zamas work unused closed mines, others are mining still functioning ones.
I still have a problem, with those illegal miners who invade or trespass formal mines. Those are the people that make it difficult for business to actually accept that this particular area needs to be decriminalized.
Between Randfontein and Springs, you've got almost 100 kilometers of surface striking reef, and all of these will eventually be mined out by zamas. My prediction is that in the not too distant future, you're going to start seeing bits and pieces of infrastructure such as this road and railway line subsiding into this shallow void. There was 4 zamas underground. They blew out 6 pillars with illegal explosives. About half the charges misfired, and a big rock about the size of a motor car came down on top of the one zama's head. It squashed him. There was only his foot and his hand left sticking out. The mine rescue team had to be sent in, and the first thing that the mine rescue team noticed was that half of the explosives had not detonated. So they were obliged to pull their team out, so that body's still left lying underground.
At Mogale Gold, Mintails' predecessor, Ronald Malambo, had built his career. Promoted from cleaner all the way up the ladder to plant operator, he's a trained rock drill, forklift and front loader operator. But when he was retrenched, he turned to crime. After serving time in prison, he became a zama, as mining was what he had been trained to do.
There is no need to raise a crime. because most of crime areas like it was also about HP, housebreaking, robbery, hijacking. Le nna ka joina go lead go officer ba bona go fitlela mo bona okay fine in kena mading but because ke a tseba le nna le saka thing like ke gona go utla monata ka re wa teng ba riele le go moja le bona they wasn't expecting gore nka ba le go moja at the end of the day ka gona bona okay fine this thing which means he is a life even better as long as you drink a tea by 2 slices that's good, that's better than nothing. So but ntse ke leng wa re dikana is just because of the more police ba sotla.
Artisanal mining doesn't only confine itself to gold. It also looks at those particular minerals like sand, clay, the ordinary ones that people use on in their daily basis. So that those areas, they have been decriminalized. And even I understand in South Africa, in Mpumalanga, sand mining has been, to some extent, decriminalized. Nobody cares about that. But of course, it's not a precious mineral.
I think that what the Legal Resources Centre has been seeing over time is situations where commercial mining has left communities in situations that they have to find ways to exist and subsist once the commercial operation comes to an end. If you look at semi-precious stones, there's a whole series of opportunities for beneficiation and for the establishment of co-ops. But we believe that there are opportunities in each mineral. This is something that has to be looked at afresh. There is no one size fits all, but if one is governed by the notions of the creation of the opportunities to work, the creation of safety, particularly in relation to the environment, and the creation of a platform through which a greater number of people can have a much more direct share in the wealth of our country, that surely has to be a win. There is an increased understanding that artisanal mining is not adequately provided for in legislation.
Zama mining in South Africa is valued at an estimated $2 billion, which is currently not generating any tax. Sandile meets Douglas Rasiyonza, who introduces him to a community who are currently looking for ways to use minerals to benefit local people, now that formal mining has ended in the tiny town of Priska, 800 kilometers from Johannesburg. A town also built on asbestos mining, which has now left many unemployed. Asbestos is not the only mineral in the area. There are also semi-precious stones to be mined, in particular, tiger's eye.
The way in which tiger's eye is currently being mined is that it's being mined and then being sold locally and then being shipped, quite often just raw, and either goes to China or India. People should benefit from what they got locally, and if we could only just focus on that, then we'd all be richer. We'd all be better.
Douglas takes Sandile to meet Gianni Chenge, founder of Lokshin Hub, which has initiated procedures to formalize mining of tiger's eye by local miners.
Quite heavy metal. Yeah. That's why you're so big. It basically frustrates one to see that no, it can't be that there is no jobs. It can't be that people's life are not better, is it? So I then thought of a beneficiation plant. When we basically started the process.
What we need is a system that allows builds in this kind of working way and allows people to almost be fair with each other, to be honest with each other, to be open and sharing with each other around a product.
From the miner up until the marketer would basically benefit. Everyone's life would then be changed, is it? Mintech came, trained people on how to cut and polish gemstones.
Gianni takes Sandile to meet some of the local miners.
The Priska guys had a process where they registered cooperatives, you see, amongst themselves. Yeah? You see the guys are mining, you see? They're paying for that excavator.
The Priska Protocol is an agreement, a vision of working together where participants give proper value to the efforts and skills of others along the value chain. The protocol is also about nurturing relationships and local skills. Rina Labaskachny makes jam trees that Douglas exports to America. Through crowdfunding, he found enough people interested in a better future for local miners.
Take the skills in working or taking ownership of our mineral resources. It's how to create our own market, our local market.
The one thing I've learned from especially the character of Gianna in Priska is the way he was so patient, having to fight for things for 7 years before you can get things running.
Back from Priska, Sandile goes to visit Ronald, the retrenched miner turned zama, to explain the Priska protocol.
Zamguti formalize the government as I'm going to recognize Sizamuku update because much as Ipanaziko is Spanish colonies.
They want to my one thing for sure,
there's simply no legal space for the organized mining industry to engage with the disorganized artisanal mining industry. That's immoral, that's unjust. You recognize that it's happening, but you call it illegal. So you say, I can't engage with it because it's an illegal activity, and we can't engage with criminals. You know, democracy is government by discussion. I believe if we can create the statutory vehicles to deal with it, we can have debate about it.
Yeah. The legislation that we have is all based on the assumption that we're going to continue mining. Nobody's really applied their mind to mine closure or what's going to happen in the post-mining economy. What we see around us today, the zama issue, these desolate badlands, all of these are manifestations of a policy failure.
Much research, like from the context of the northern countries, those countries to the north of South Africa, where artisanal mining is now well pronounced based on economic and political aspects. They have actually agreed that enough research has been done. All that needs to be done is the practical aspect of it. Like, for instance, decriminalization is not all, but it's a step towards formalizing these particular people. First, you decriminalize them, then you ensure that they have the relevant infrastructure, the relevant documentation, let's say when it relates to licenses, so that they can conduct their work in a more free environment. Then, not only that, they need capital. Or maybe, you know, create spaces where people can earn a living on a daily basis.
With this journey, it has given me different perspectives of how our different communities, how do they think, how do they work together, and what are the challenges between most of the mining communities. If we do things collectively, we are gonna win what we are fighting for.